Oklahoma 4th District U.S. Representative Tom Cole has been in the national spotlight this week as comments he made regarding the impending fiscal cliff went public. Earlier, I spoke with Congressman Cole about his comments. Congressman Cole, why has your suggestion to make the Bush tax cuts permanent for 98% of the American people received such pushback?
Well, I think probably because it's a rare outbreak of sanity in Washington, D.C., so it's surprising a lot of people. I'm not sure it's received a lot of pushback. I think it's been seen as more unusual than it is. Look, there's no question there's big differences between the two sides here. And, again, the country didn't resolve those differences in the course of the election. The president was reelected, but so was the Republican House. So each of them have a mandate of sorts. The Senate remains essentially evenly divided. Neither side has the supermajority you would need to move something. So it's as if the American people sent us all back and said, work harder, do better, and come to an agreement. And the areas we disagree are real. I actually don't believe in raising the tax rates on anybody. I think it's very counterproductive. I think it would discourage job growth and investment. I think it would slow down growth ultimately, and that hurts revenue as well. So I just don't think it's a good idea. The president, has not put on the table yet, I think, really serious entitlement reform and spending restraint. Having said that, there is one area we agree, and it's wrapped up with all these others. And that area is we all claim that we don't want taxes to go up for 98% of the American people. That constitutes, by the way, about 80% of the money involved in the Bush tax cuts. So my suggestion, given first in private at a whip meeting a couple of times, and then it was leaked to the public, and so it's created all this storm. We were asked, what do you think as political strategists we should do? My suggestion was we should take this deal and then continue to fight to make sure rates don't go up. But let's make sure the American people aren't worried over Christmas time about their rates going up. Let's make sure that there's a level of certainty for them and, honestly, for the economy, because if they're worried about their taxes going up, they're going to spend less. It's going to affect the stock markets. I just think, not a good thing.
Among the many interviews that you've given this week, one was with Chuck Todd of NBC News, who said that you can read a poll, and you added that you can read an election. How has the re-election of President Obama affected the dynamic of the negotiations?
Well, I think anytime a president's reelected and reelected on a specific commitment, that strengthens his hand. But it's not strong enough in the sense that it didn't change the nature of the Congress. I mean, the Republican losses in the House were really pretty minimal, 8 seats, not too much, and, a couple in the Senate. So that's not much to lose in a reelection campaign, frankly. So, and you have to remember, the president's win was not a Ronald Reagan 49 state reelection. He got reelected, but it's about 51 to 49 type of election. There was significant opposition. Again, he won by a less margin than he did last time, and he's actually in a weaker position, in the House and in the Senate than he was in 2009 and 2010. So he's got a boost. He's a little bit stronger. People know that he's got a 4-year time horizon. That means you will need to deal with him. But it's a situation where he doesn't have the ability simply to say, I want to do this, and it's going to happen.
This week, the Obama administration presented a proposal that was not well received by Republican leadership in the House and Senate. The clock is ticking. Will something get done by the end of the year with the lame duck Congress?
I think so. I don't think the president's initial proposal was a serious one. Honestly, when I saw it, I told a friend, the president must think John Boehner's Santa Claus, because it's more like a Christmas wish list than a real proposal. It's actually not nearly as much as they'd talked about previously. It's a lot more revenue. It's not nearly as much in terms of spending restraint. And the idea that we're going to turn over to any one person control of whether or not the United States goes more deeply into debt, let alone a person who's put us deeper into debt than any president before him, is just laughable on its face. So I actually think that proposal made things more difficult. It made it more difficult for John Boehner to go back to his caucus and talk to it about moving forward. It made it more difficult, to be quite honest, for people like me that have suggested maybe we can find a way to deal with him. But having said all that, I still think at the end of the day we'll arrive at a deal. We did in the lame duck in 2000 10, which turned out to be very productive in terms of extending the Bush tax cuts, but giving the president some things he wanted, like unemployment extension, the payroll tax cut. We came to a major deal in April of 2011 where we did cut $60 billion of spending, but did not shut down the government. And we came to a major deal in August of 2011, what everybody wanted, the so-called debt ceiling bill, but the debt ceiling was raised. The United States didn't default, but long-term spending was curtailed. So these two guys know how to make a deal, but the pattern it's usually been at the last minute. And that's kind of worried the country, and it should, because when you wait to the last minute to do something you know you ought to get done, there's always the chance that something can go wrong. And in this case, the two sides could find themselves at an impasse, and we could go over the so-called fiscal cliff. And I think that is really bad for the economy, bad for the country, bad for the faith of the country in the ability of its own political system to function.
Congressman Tom Cole, you've had a busy week. You have a busy holiday season ahead of you. It's always a pleasure. Thanks for your time.
Hey, Dick, thank you, and you have a great holiday season with your family.
Thank you. Same to you.